Hey everybody, this is Doug with Artfully Rogue, and in this video, I'm gonna make this bar stool. All right, so for starters, on the legs, I am using 1 inch by 1 inch square stock with an 065 wall. I've cut them to 26.5 inches long, and then on both sides, I've cut at a 5-degree angle. So when it's resting on the ground, you'll see it has a little bit of a pitch to it. Now, the same thing is going to happen up on this end when you put your plate on it to sit down. So both of those angles are cut the same direction. So I'm going to lay out 2 of the legs, 1 on each side, and then I have a spreader bar that is 14 inches from the long side, also cut with that 5-degree angle, and then I'm coming up 8 inches from the bottom of each one of those legs, and this is going to get welded into place. Okay, now we have the 2 legs. We're going to use a base plate that's going to sit on top of the legs, but then we're going to do a padded cushion that will go on top of this. So this is a piece of 20 gauge that I have cut to, what did I cut it to? 12 inches by 16 inches. So this is the width. Your butt goes here. All right, so when you put your legs on, they're gonna go up like so. Okay, so the 2 legs go upside down onto this plate because we're working at it on an upside down method right now. Let's see, I've already pre-cut my pieces. So the spacer that goes between the 2 legs is 14 inches. Okay, so we got 16 inches on the base plate, 1 inch and 1 inch. Okay, that makes 14 and 16. So when I put this here, I can make sure that my legs are the right distance apart, and then I'll put a tack weld on both sides of those, and then we'll move that piece up to where it needs to be. Okay, so now those are tacked into place. So what I want to do now is I want to put this spreader bar up here. This is the second one that I made. What I realized is the spreader bar was here in the middle, and it made it difficult for me to put my feet onto the bar comfortably. So we're going to move this towards the front. I don't know if I want to put it up front, maybe just a little back. I think that's going to be personal preference. It might also kind of just change the look a little bit if I put it in the front. We're going to set it back a little bit. I think it'll look nicer. Okay, got a clamp so we can hold this into place. Want to make sure that I'm going to keep it. I went back about 1.5 inches. And I said 1.5 inches. Let me correct that. That's 2.5 inches. Even with these glasses, it's hard to see the darn thing. All right. Everything's looking good. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and weld all this magic. Okay, so this is where you find out how straight everything was. I have a little bit of a rock. So I'm high on these, so it means these 2 need to be cleaned up just a little bit, and I can look here and see a little bit of daylight underneath this. One of the things that I found easy to do is take a Sharpie and just kind of draw around. And what will happen is the high side will have less marker on it, and then you can basically just go through and grind away that marker and you'll be good. Okay, so quick grind, and that's actually taking care of everything. It's nice and solid now. Okay, so now we're gonna work on the backrest. Okay, so for the uprights, I'm also using 1-inch square stock. I've cut it flat on one side and I put the 5-degree angle on the other side. So that when you weld these, they're gonna kick back just a little bit. So I'm gonna make sure that I line them up along the legs here and here so they look like they're flowing with one long leg. Now I'm using 2 because it was hard for me to get a perfect bend on both of them so that they were identical. If I go into production with this, I'll probably come up with a jig that just makes it simple. But for right now, I'm just going to use 2 separate pieces. Here and here. Okay, so I picked up some 2-inch foam and I had some particle board sitting in the shop. Not my favorite wood in the world, but I have it, so I'm going to use it. And I went ahead and cut the pattern out for the top of the seat. I went 1 inch over the sides and 1 inch over the front, and then this is going to be flush with the back. That way there's a little bit of an overhang. It's going to make it a little bit easier when I pull the fabric and staple and all that fun stuff. So that's the pattern for that. And then I'm just going to trim the foam. Now honestly, the best thing to cut foam is a turkey carver. Believe it or not, back in the day when I was with Ringling Brothers Circus, as a clown, we would make our own props. And a lot of times they would be made out of foam. And we discovered that the best way to cut foam was with a turkey carver. And we were dealing with huge blocks of foam though. I mean, I'm talking big blocks. And literally, we would make everything that you can imagine with foam. We made an entire engine block out of foam. We made a kitchen sink out of foam. And yeah, we did all kinds of fun stuff with that. So here's what I'm going to do next, is I'm going to get some spray glue, and I'm going to spray glue the foam onto the board so that it stays where I want it to stay. And then we're going to take this really cool black pleather and we're going to cut it out so I can wrap it over and make a cool cushion. So yeah, I also picked this up at Hobby Lobby, but you can get this stuff anywhere that sells fabric. Okay, so apparently I'm out of spray glue, and honestly, I don't want to stop this project just so I can run to the store and go get spray glue. It just means that I'm going to have to be a little bit more careful in holding this in place when I start to pull the fabric. But hey, I'm a professional. I trust myself. So here's what I did. Turn the fabric face down, I put the template on the fabric, and I gave myself 3 inches on each side. Okay, you got a 1/2 inch, you got 2 inches, so that way you have plenty to go up and around. Now keep in mind, when you start to push down, all right, you're going to have about 1 inch or so that you're going to be able to push onto that, that backboard. So let's cut this out, and now we're going to stretch fabric and we're going to staple the crap out of it. Okay, so we're going to start stapling this into place. Now, I've already done, you know, the front, the back, and one side, and kind of like tightening the lugs on a tire. You want to switch sides. You don't want to always do one side. The stapler's not going in that great. I might have to break out my electric stapler. We'll see if that's needed here in just a second. I haven't used it in forever, so let's even see if I can find the damn thing. So you want to try to pull evenly around the sides. Okay, so this is where a lot of people have problems, is right here on the corner. You have so much extra fabric. So one of the things that I've learned is you take that fabric and you get right up into that corner, all right? Then fold it over, get that next one. Okay, so now you're creating a little bit of a bend here. And then I'll trim off some of that extra fabric. Make sure that everything sits flat underneath there. Put an extra staple there if you need to. Okay, now take that little corner here, pull up and pull down. All right, what that does is that tucks in all your corners. So just make sure that everything folds right there into that corner, like so. And then a couple of good staples there. And then you can cut off any excess, like so. All right, I suppose I could have welded these tops in, but why not just use plastic inserts? That's what they make them for. Cleans it up all nice. I think I'll probably do the same thing on the bottom. I was kind of worried. I was worried how they were going to sit in the angles, but they actually sit pretty good. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. It's greatly appreciated. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so now. And if you have comments, please leave those below. I'd like to give a huge shout out to my Patreon supporters, Barry and Marlene Rush, Funkiss Artistic Creations, and Judy Clothier. We'll see you all in the next video.